different perspectives.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Anthony Holmes,
And I'm Michelle Holmes.
and welcome to From Different Perspectives. Today, we had an overwhelming suggestion for a topic, and that is
Different perspectives in old school parenting and gentle parenting.
I'll put it like this: who do y'all think is which?
This is an interesting topic because that is something that we had to adjust to when it came to parenting and merging and blending our family. I am the gentle parent.
And I am definitely the old school disciplinarian parent, right? I grew up with both parents. One being a very strict and very disciplinarian, and then the other one was allowing you to learn and experience, but giving you information prior to you going into that. So that kind of molded my form of parenting as I got older.
And for me, I grew up with a very disciplined military parent and then another parent that was the lovey-dovey parent. I want to be your friend. I want to love on you. I want to hold you, and we'll let the other parent handle the parenting.
Right. So coming into this space, coming into this relationship, that was something that was different, very different. I am very much the old school style. Don't embarrass me in public, and I'm not afraid to jack you up. I'm in your face. I want you to understand that you don't have to always experience negativity to get the understanding of it, right? So I love to navigate and guide, and if that means a little wall-to-wall counseling like we did in the military, I ain't against that.
And for me, I'm a little bit of both, right? So don't embarrass me in public. If I need to get on you, I'm going to get on you, but it's going to be bad. But that's the last resort. Like, I feel like there's levels to that, and I don't need to jump right on you for us to, I feel like there's levels to it, right? But I'm definitely like, we work those steps before we get to that, unless it's like something really, really bad and I got to get on you. Because let me say, there was this one year my son was just doing the most at school. They called me. The school knew I was coming up there with a belt in hand. Okay, you know you acting bad when the counselors is giving you a room to whoop that ass. So I definitely did some whooping and got on that behind when I needed to. But it was let's try to talk this out until we get to the point there is no more talking. They just need some action.
See, with me, I'm upfront with it. I believe that children watch their parents and their role models, and that's how they model themselves, right? So getting information or being in situations that you've never seen, you should know how to navigate it. I always feel that if there's a sticky situation and you get into it, if you got to question it, it should be an automatic no, right? So when you bring it to me, I want full honesty, right? Full honesty so we can navigate it. And if you can't do that, or if you don't do that, then we got a problem. But with my son, I think just my tone in general brings the correction, because he knows that, all right, Pops is zero tolerance. He ain't playing this game, right? And bringing that into the space with Michelle and her children, it's like she inserts me at certain times, and then she's like, "No, I got that," right? So I feel like it's a good balance, but I also feel my method, it's it's just what it is, right? And it's definitely needed.
It's definitely needed. I will say that being a single mother and raising your kids, especially when it comes to a boy, it's tough, right? Because I try to find that balance between giving that authority, but also still being a mom and loving and being a mom. Like, we're moms. Like, I'm supposed to be here to love you, to provide you with guidance, to be there, but then there should be that father or a male figure there that is the authority and giving that masculine energy. Like Anthony said with his son, his voice alone, that makes his son shimmer down, versus my bass and my voice don't do nothing for my kids, okay? And so I have to really get on them for me to really get some act right sometimes. So that was the struggle, being single and trying to raise a son, is because I knew he needed that authority, that masculine energy, which is why before Anthony came into the picture, I had to tag my dad into the picture. Like, tag, you're it. Like, I went to the school and whooped him about 10 times and it ain't working. My pops come in and whoop him one good time and it was a wrap. We really didn't have too many problems after that. And then Anthony came into the picture and it got even better. I think he probably had like one incident, maybe two. There was two incidents. The first one, Anthony is doing great because he finds that middle ground to meet me in the middle of kind of how I want to do things, but also given what's needed. And he put my son on that wall, had him hold some papers, two little tiny pieces of paper out like that, and I say he was mad for about 3 days.
And that's another thing, like I always say, like I tell her, like, you have a male and then you have men, right? We have a generation where there's a lot of males where they're in the mature body, but they still kind of boyish mentality, and then you have men who are disciplined, are structured, who understand how to navigate. They kind of put things aside. So growing as a boy, you have to see that. You need to see that, whether it's an in-home father, where it's a father figure, where it's sports, right? You see some way of a man operating. And when that happens, you know what I'm saying, it's just cultivates that male child a lot better. And given that I do have that disciplinarian sense and I had the structure from the military, I can discipline her son without physically putting my hands on him, right? And that's another like sticky area where coming into a situation with anyone with a child, that's something that me personally I prefer not to do, is physically put my hands on her children. My son though, he knows what's up. But that's just me. That's just my style. And I feel like the older style of parenting has cultivated a generation of go-getters, of independent thinkers, of consistency, of individuals that don't really complain, don't really gripe. They just get it done. And me personally, I feel that that softer model of parenting creates the soft child, right? The I want to be indoors all day. I don't want to do anything physical. I don't want to do anything that requires work. So that's just my perspective. I feel like us latchkey kids, by nine I was cutting grass, ironing my clothes. By 14, 15, I was cutting grass, buying my own shoes, buying my own school clothes. By 16, I had a job, played sports, did good in school. So I had a basis because of that old school parenting. That's just my perspective on it.
And my perspective is, I have seen for myself, right? Okay, let's say for myself. My father was military. He was gone quite a bit. When he was home, he was disciplined and strict, and there was structure, right? And then when he wasn't there wasn't structure, and it allowed me to kind of have the freedom to do what I wanted to do. However, while I was doing what I wanted to do, I've met plenty of people our age, men and female, that came from a strict household, but still didn't have no act right? I know plenty of people that came from a strict household that had rules, that had the strictness, the what I want to say, like the strict environment where they didn't have the opportunity or the choice to do what they wanted to do. They had to be on a schedule. That they got disciplined when they needed to, and they were buck wild. Let's just say what it is, you know. I know plenty of people that, let's say, they in prison now. They still in prison, and they came from a strict household, and so it's just like, I feel like that doesn't technically, that's not the ultimatum on how your child will grow and be because you disciplined them or because you provided a strict household. It's just like when they say pastors' children are the worst, right? Like, so it's just like you can be brought up one way, and that can make you rebel and make you worse when you get older. And so I think for me, was parenting my children was trying to find that middle ground. I didn't want to make it to where home was somewhere they didn't want to be, but I also didn't want to give them the flexibility, like, oh, I run this, no, because I run this, but this is how we're going to do this. And so just finding that middle ground to where they don't turn 18 and go buck wild and try to do whatever they want to do, but they also have the foundation and the elements to be successful when it's time for them to spread their wings.
I like that. I think I also have a great line of communication with my son, right? So I've always laid that foundation of, I'm gonna always go to bat for you, right? Some may know my story, some may not, but I always will go to bat behind him, right? Right or wrong, I'm gonna go to bat for you, but I need to know the truth.
That part.
Right? Don't tell me your side of the story, and I come to find out what all happened, right? Because then you're gonna have to deal with them, and then you're gonna have to deal with me, right? And ain't no leniency when it comes to me, right? Because I, as a black male, I let my son know the narrative, right? Some may agree, some may not, but I also I make him understand that it's not going to be cookies and cream when you get out here in the real world, right? So what you need to understand is how to operate, because you might think it's tough with me. The world can care less about you. Like with him, I let him know I'll possibly be the only man in the world that you meet that genuinely want to see you do better than me. I'm gonna help you get there and be better than me, and I'm gonna genuinely cheer you on, watching you become better than me. So the discipline that comes from me comes from love. The discipline that's going to come from the world, they can care less about you, right? So I let him understand that narrative. I preach that narrative. I push that narrative. So you need to operate differently in society, because some may not like what you look like. Some may not appreciate your talents, right? But you got to also understand how to operate. I let him experience things. I let him move in the spaces that he need to move, but we also have real life conversations, and he comes to me and tells me stuff that he probably doesn't tell his mom, right? Because I laid that foundation for him to be able to talk, right? To understand that even though this is a difficult situation, I got one person I can talk to. And I had that, right? So I feel like, just in the sense of the old school mentality, it's there, right? I don't have the typical close proximity with him, but I also talk to him daily. I know what's going on with him. I communicate well with his mother, right? So we build a village for him, right? And anyone that comes into that village has the ability to correct him, to discipline him. I feel like that soft parenting, it's only I can do it. Don't tell my kids this, don't tell my child that, right? And it's not the case, because when us as adults, we should have a good, keen sense of opinion, or we have a keen sense of a person and their personality that we're bringing around. So I feel that those individuals should be able to correct my child, because they know the path that I want my child on. They know that this is the best route, this is the best path. So it should be an on-spot correction. It shouldn't be, oh, wait till your dad gets home, or wait till your mom. I'm gonna tell you, nah, correct him right in there. And I feel like that's the old school style of parenting, and that's bringing the village in, right? Because I'm not gonna have eyes on you 24/7, but somebody I know does. Someone that understands me sees my son, or sees her children, and oh well, your mama wouldn't want that, Anthony wouldn't want that, you need to change that. And there's no argument with an adult, it's none of that, right? Because it's purposeful, right? So that's just my viewpoint. Yeah, exactly.
And I definitely agree with that. I am a big believer that it takes a village to raise a child, especially being in the Central Texas area. I myself has been there since high school, so now my children are going to school. You know, there's been plenty of times that, especially my girls being middle school, high school, one's now graduated, one's going into high school, and there have been people, they be like, oh, I know your mama, and I know your mama don't want you acting like that. Let's go ahead and correct that. And so that's one thing, like, if you know me and you part of my village, and if you need to correct them, go ahead and correct them. Like, I definitely agree with it takes a village to raise a child. I also agree with one thing I tell, especially my girls: don't let me find out something and you haven't told me. I cannot help you. I cannot truly protect you if you don't tell me everything. Don't tell me your side. Don't tell me what you want me to know. I need to know the whole thing. And that's one thing, you know, with my girls. Something goes down, they're like, all right, mom, let me tell you what happened. Let me give you the full story. And then they break everything. I'm like, tell me what I need to know. Because if I come up to that school, or if I will act a fool behind you if I need to protect you. But I also need to make sure that I know everything, even if you're in the wrong. Like, I'm going to go for bat for you. When we get home, we're going to correct that. But I need to know everything, so that way I can do my job. Kind of sound like something my daddy used to say back in the day.
When you start turning into your parents.
When you start turning into your parents, you'd be like, oh, I see why you did that. So, you know, I got a little bit of the old schooling mentality in my parenting, but I also just try to bridge that. Not necessarily gentle parenting, but more of an understanding. Like, I think for my kids, I wanted to have them to have, one, to be able to make decisions and choices on your own, but then also two, to know that, all right, when I really F up, she coming for me. And they know that. Like, I done had to hem them up a few times. Don't think I ain't gonna hem them up, because I'm gonna do what I need to do. But let's try to handle this other way first. But then, yeah.
I always tell them, be a leader, not a follower.
That
Think.
part.
You know what I'm saying?
That part.
If you just go into a situation and you're just going with the flow, like, that makes absolutely no sense, right? Like, you have to be able to think for yourself as well as the individuals around you. It might be fun in the sense, but does it make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a difficult lane because of the times are different, right? When we grew up, we ain't had all the access that they have today. Like,
it was social
either
media. We didn't even have cell phones. It was call me on the house phone, meet me at the street sign when you're ready.
We meeting up on the green box. I got my house key. I can't lose that house key.
Look, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Be outside.
And I gotta be inside before them street lights come on. Right? So now the difference is pushing that. And I feel like when, that's just my perspective, when the old school parenting is there, you see those kids that are still outside, running around, doing all the things. I feel like that gentle parenting got the kids on the inside, right? And does that make a difference? I think so. You see those that are outside or playing sports, they kind of navigate differently. Like, that's just there's always outliers in every situation, right? I'm speaking on generalized, but there's definitely outliers. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's individuals that had the old school parenting that got life sentences, right? And there's individuals who have the soft parenting that are extremely successful in life. So don't take it as it's an ultimate. There's just my perspective of how we maneuver in situations. But I just feel like that early on foundation, it forces you to, like, when you outside, right, and you at the basketball court on your bike, and it's 2 miles away, and you seen that dimmering of that street light, them wheels get to churning. Like, either I gotta get to this house in time, or I gotta come out with a very believable reason why I didn't make it. All right, nowadays they don't think, they can't think past go. They can't even fill out applications. They can't fill out school forms. Nothing. It's just all, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? That old school parenting I feel like it make you think.
Now, I will say this, because I don't necessarily think that that's an old school or a gentle parenting problem. I think it's a sheltering problem. Like, I feel like they're sheltered. They're not given the tools that they needed. That doesn't mean that they're not being parented a certain way, if that makes sense. Okay. So I feel like there's a difference between a child being sheltered and not really given the tools to be successful versus how they're being parented at home. Okay.
So what brings forth the idea of sheltered kids? What is it? Would you say that there's a particular form that causes the sheltering, or is it just?
I mean, it could be, let's say maybe, that parent or the parents had experienced trauma.
Right.
And because of that, now they don't allow their kids to go outside. They don't allow their kids to, or maybe they don't have the tools to be successful, so they don't know how to give those tools to their children to be successful.
Gotcha.
Right? Okay. But not necessarily the fact of how they're being disciplined.
Oh, we getting into a different topic. We get this. Hey,
yeah, we gonna have to say
this
that
one
one.
Heating up, y'all. Hey, thank you for joining in with us, y'all. Tap into the next. We're gonna finish this conversation about the trauma, sheltering, and all of that good stuff, man. Today was a good conversation. We really got to understand. Do I agree? Probably not. I'm still gonna be old school with it.
And that's his perspective, but what's yours?
Hey, tap in with us, man. See y'all later.
Different perspectives. One conversation.